Hello everybody, and welcome to week 5 of MDIA 4483 Broadcast Graphics. Happy to have you back, and congratulations, you have made it through all of the classroom and a book lessons. So that majority of that work has been knocked out. No more worries with that. So this week we're going to start the process of creating portfolio projects. These are things that will be used in your portfolio website that you created early on in the program, and it's stuff that you will show to potential future employers to let them know, hey, I can do cool stuff with After Effects and with animations. So we'll go ahead and get started by clicking week 5, module 5 over here on the left, and clicking on portfolio projects. So 2 categories or 2 assignments that you'll need to complete this week. We'll be creating animated lower thirds and an animated wipe. So a lower third is, in video, something that you would see on the bottom of the screen that would kind of show people identify the person that is in the shot. You'll see this all the time in documentaries. If you watch any Ken Burns documentaries, there's a style that he uses in all of his documentaries. That's simply white text with a red line underneath it. We'll be creating something a little more complicated than that using animation, but basically these are used for identifiers to identify people, places, or things, pretty much nouns. So just going over what you'll be graded for within this. You'll be graded on how different each of the lower thirds are, how smoothly they animate on and off, because these are animated lower thirds. Your choice of colors, they should be between 5 and 10 seconds, and you should utilize at least 5 layers or shapes or effects within your project. You will create 3 different types of lower thirds, one that is left justified, meaning it's in the bottom left corner of the screen, one that is right justified, which is over on the right, and then a center one that has 2 names on it. So say that we're watching a basketball game and we see a lower third identifying 2 commentators, a play-by-play person and a color commentator. Their names would appear at the bottom of the screen, left and right, identifying them, and that's what your double name center justified lower third will be. Each lower third is going to have a primary information line and a secondary information line. And just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, instead of trying to explain it, come over here to one of the videos in the tutorial playlist. So you'll notice that there is a top line that says, this would normally have a person's name, and then the identifier below it would have the talent. So usually you have a main title and a subtitle, or a name and an identifier. Might be a good way to explain that. But you can feel free to follow this tutorial completely if you want to. Here's an example of a left justified one, and here's another example of that. The only difference for your right justified ones would be that they would need to be in the right side of the screen. This is if, let's pretend that this doggy in the background is a person. If they're sitting in the left portion of the screen, you probably want to have your lower thirds in the right portion. And if they're sitting in the right portion of the screen, you want to have their lower third in the left portion. You won't actually be adding these into video just yet, but it's good to know where that is in the overall frame. So now that I'm off on a tangent and rambling, let's go back and look at this. You can only use what is native in After Effects. So don't bring in any textures, any photos, or any video. It'll just be the lower third over a black background and using shapes that you've created within After Effects. Basically, that's what this line says here. You can utilize shape layers and solids to create anything you want within After Effects. And you'll attach your After Effects project file and a YouTube link to the to your project on YouTube. Your comp size should be set to 1080 by 1920 by 1080 at 29.97 frames per second, and you'll export the video as a 720p YouTube video in Media Encoder. If you've forgotten how to do that, which you shouldn't have, because the last 13 lessons have all been utilizing Media Encoder, but there is a tutorial for that in week 1 if you need to go back and look at that. Also, there is a lower thirds examples playlist in here that will take you to a playlist that a friend of mine created, to where you can choose from any of these, or you can just do a YouTube search for After Effects lower third tutorial. There are some really cool ones in here for doing 3D type things. You'll notice that a lot of television nowadays utilizes more stuff along the lines of this. Very minimal and very straightforward, because you don't really want a lot of flares and complications going on. You're just trying to say someone's name, it's in for 7 to 10 seconds, and then it's out. So try to go very simple with that. And then coming back over here, the second, well, let me go ahead and finish Animate Lower Thirds. This will be due on Friday at midnight, as the rest of them are. And if you have any problems with that, feel free to let me know. The other project I'll be working on this week is the animated wipe. So in broadcast news and sporting events, wipes are used to transition between a full screen and another full screen. So there's all kinds of stuff. If you go and watch the Star Wars movies, George Lucas likes to use a lot of blur wipes that kind of wipe between different things. And just to give you some examples of what a transition might be, let's watch a little bit of this video.
Welcome to ukramedia.com. My name is Sergey.
On a side note, this website, ukramedia.com, is a very good website to follow for tutorials. They put out a lot of cool stuff, and most of his stuff is created within After Effects just using what is built in. So no need to go out and buy shapes and templates and stuff like that. Like, you can build all this from just circles.
Praknevsky, and today I'm going to show you how to create these simple slide transitions inside After Effects.
So all these colors that are going across the screen that are kind of wiping between one shot and the next, you'll notice that he kind of goes from a wide shot to a close-up shot. All these can be made in After Effects just by using the shape layers and by using the repeater function. So he'll go a little more into that. But your assignment is to create, I believe, one wipe that will transition between the A video comp and the B video comp. I will upload this to Blackboard, and so you'll have an A and a B template that you'll need to create a wipe that transitions between these two. Basically, you're going to want to cover up the entire screen since it is a full screen wipe. And so you should start off by seeing A, just a simple A in your After Effects project. And you'll want to make it transition to the B, but we don't want to actually see that cut between A and B. We want to transition to it. So you'll need to fill the screen with something, aka a wipe, to transition between the A comp and the B comp. You'll be graded on the following. Is it a smooth transition from A to B? Are the minimum layer restrictions met? You'll need to use at least 5 layers, shapes, or effects like you did in the last project. Aesthetics, how it looks overall, and your color choice. You can only use what is natively in After Effects again this time. So no textures, no photos, no videos. But you can utilize shapes, layers, and solids to create anything you want in After Effects. Even the most complicated Super Bowl graphics boil down to polygons, triangles, squares, and circles. For this one, you want to make sure that you attach your After Effects project file, as well as a video link to your completed lower thirds. And there is also a playlist in here with some examples of how you can create different wipes. So, if you want to create a wipe with extra credit, basically you'll need to create an alpha mat that shows portions of A and B on a screen at the same time. That's up to you, but it is complicated. And if you can do it, feel free, and kudos to you for doing so. All right, I think I've talked enough for this week. So just a reminder, animated lower thirds are due the end of this week. You'll make 3 of those and 3 separate YouTube videos, and the your After Effects file to turn in by Friday at midnight. And your animated wipe, you'll turn in the After Effects project file and the YouTube link to that by Friday at midnight as well. Thanks as always, and if you have any questions, feel free to go to the discussion board and click Classroom Connections and send me a request or send me an email to gperkins@astate.edu. Have a good week.